So here we have it, another smartphone. It's the 7 Pro. We've seen the reviews, seen the news, maybe you watched the actual event. One thing's for sure though, this is more expensive than the OnePlus 7, and you can't even buy the OnePlus 7 in North America. You're being upsold from the 6T to the 7 Pro, and I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that, but I want to talk about the device first. I absolutely love this color. It's a nebula blue. Depending on the reflection, you get different saturations of blue, and it just gives the device a nice clean look. It's a big smartphone, and you have to really appreciate big phones to like this phone. In fact, if you put a Galaxy S10 Plus beside it, you can really see the size difference. Now, because the glass is going into the body of the device, it's a lot harder to hold. It feels a little bit more slippery in the hand, and my suggestion is to put a dbrand skin on it to help reduce that slip. And also on top of it, it just gives the device its own unique look. Now, everything else is there that you'd get on the 6T or the 7 Pro. You have the alert slider on the side, the power control, and of course the volume rocker. Everything feels nice and premium. The big deal though, finally we have it on a OnePlus device, is dual speakers. We have one on the bottom, and of course one on the earpiece.
Yeah, I got too many problems. I smoke too many swishes, rolling till that table wobble. I roll around with women who be off the full bottle. I don't got to, I make my flows viral. Son, I be mixing on the smoothest movies. Shit, I only watch Pixar movies on Lucy, and I stay feeling bougie.
Okay, so it's not as good as the Galaxy S10 Plus, but it's still not bad. Definitely much better than the crappy mono speaker they had on the 6T and previous devices. The next thing you're gonna notice is the optical fingerprint sensor. It's still there, and it's faster than the previous OnePlus 6T. Like realistically, it takes like 0.5 seconds to log in. You're also gonna notice that there's no cutout or no notch. They've completely made this display 100% screen, and I like it. It looks absolutely awesome. Now there's a drawback to this. Your front-facing camera is being incorporated into a motorized lens. It pops out on the top. They've tested this 300,000 times, and they said it's never gonna break on you. But we've seen companies test devices using robots. But what happens when it does break? I mean, OnePlus doesn't have the best support system unless you buy this device from a carrier. So even though the camera does pop up, there is a bit of a delay to take the selfie. It's not like unbearable or anything, but it's obviously gonna be slower than a regular smartphone without a pop-up camera. It's 16 megapixels. You have all the same features you do in other phones, so you can take your regular photo or pop it in portrait mode for a blurred background effect. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the vibration motor on the 7 Pro, so much better than the 6T. They said it's 200% bigger. It definitely makes a difference. It actually feels like a proper vibration and not a cheap lawnmower. The display is the next big deal. This is the first time on a OnePlus device we're getting a QHD Plus display. In fact, it's so good that it's almost as good as the display on the Galaxy S10 Plus. I mean, the colors are not as vibrant, even with the settings boosted all the way up, but it's pretty close. And quite frankly, I would take the display on the 7 Pro over the S10 Plus because of the 90Hz refresh rate. That refresh rate makes scrolling look a lot smoother. It makes gameplay look a lot better depending if the game supports higher refresh rates. And I know you can't see this on screen, but like when I'm scrolling up and down a web page, this phone here, the 7 Pro, feels faster than the S10 Plus, even though they support the same hardware. Now you're probably wondering, if you have a 90Hz refresh rate, a QHD Plus display, how's the battery life on this phone? And I'll be honest with you, it's not nearly as good as the S10 Plus, the P30 Pro, or any of the bigger devices out there. I can get through the entire day without any issues, but this is not a day and a half or 2-day phone. Same holds true when you reduce the 90Hz refresh rate to 60 Hz. The battery life is slightly better, but it's still not good enough compared to other bigger smartphones. So the camera's always been the biggest problem with previous OnePlus devices. It always just fell short compared to the competition, unless you installed something like Gcam. This time we're getting 3 lenses on the 7 Pro and 2 are remaining on the regular 7. Now you're getting a 48 megapixel sensor. This will be your regular wide lens. You have your 3x zoom lens, and then finally you have your 16 megapixel ultra wide lens. Now I've been playing around with this camera. It takes pretty good photos. I don't think it's in the top 3. In fact, fact, when you compare it to something like the Huawei P30 Pro, the photos themselves look very contrasty. They're bumping up the contrast, the blacks and the shadows are getting crushed, and with that, you're losing those details. I mean, the photos look appealing, but you're losing a lot of details in the image. Now, when it comes to nighttime mode, it's actually better than some phones like the Galaxy S10 Plus, just because of the sheer fact it has a nighttime mode. But again, it's not beating something like the Huawei P30 Pro. Same with video. Nothing impressive there either. It's improved from previous smartphones or previous OnePlus devices, but again, I still think it's falling short for flagship quality. The one area that OnePlus continues to really do a great job is the combination of software and hardware. You're getting the latest specs, 12 gigabytes of RAM, super fast storage speeds, a very fast and updated Snapdragon 855. And when you pair that with very minimalistic Android skin, you get an experience like no other. Now, you are missing some features that other flagship phones have. You don't have the IP68 water resistance rating. OnePlus says the phone is water resistant, but again, how do we know how water resistant it is? There's also no wireless charging, something that every other flagship smartphone has. To me personally, I don't really care about it. I'd rather have their new Warp Charge, which is significantly faster than the previous Dash Charge, but some of you might care about that. So here are my closing thoughts. The 7 Pro is a well-built smartphone. They did a great job of putting this in line with other flagship smartphones. But it begs the question, is it better than other flagship smartphones? Well, when it comes to the camera, it's absolutely not. And other phones like the Huawei P30 Pro, the Pixel, still take better photos. But if you don't care about photos and you're all about performance and software and having the best display and really quick charging, then the 7 Pro excels over other flagship devices. But then there comes the whole question about whether you like what OnePlus is doing right now. Are you okay with them having a 7 Pro and a 7? Or do you feel abandoned? Because the OnePlus moniker for this whole entire time has always been offering you the best device for the lowest price possible. Anyways, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of the 7 Pro? Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Wow, how do you catch a phone like this?